Radio and music. Pre-production. Generating and researching ideas for programs and pitching for commissions. Developing content, writing material for the scripts, bulletins, and links. Selecting music appropriate to the program, the audience, and the station. Briefings for presenters, reporters, technical staff. Managing the logistics. Undertaking editing. Checking that copyrights are cleared and understanding media law. Contributing audio resources, responding to audience feedback. The script writer, having the writer present at the session often help clears up any misunderstanding with the written word. The sound engineer, a good experienced technician with a good pair of ears, can make everything work quickly and smoother. The producer, the person in the overall charge of achieving the end result. The voiceovers, good casting is essential, and knowing capabilities of each voice help producers, presenters, researchers, and sound operators, broadcasting assistants, and production coordinators. Pre-production in the music. In the music industry, pre-production is a process whereby a recording artist spends time creating and refining their musical ideas. The artist thus produces a song's demo recording or rough draft in order to pre-establish the song's creative promise. This reduces the time and money spent in expensive studios. The goal is to enter into the major recording basic phase of production, with the most promising ideas have already been established by music producers, publishers, studio engineers, recording labels, and performance rights organizations. The recording producer, along with what has been agreed with the artist and recording label, will finally decide on what type of sound they are planning to achieve. The recording producer drafts a recording plan and activities and quotes the budget. The recording label will be the one to entirely finance the recording of the album, songs. The recording produces with the coordination of the artist and recording label. Contact music publishers they know or even songwriters they have partnered with. They will decide the final song list to be included in the album along with the possible singles, hit songs. Audio producers create sounds and content producers oversee and orchestrate a radio show or feature. How these two media sources differ and compare. Radio is broadcasted live, music is recorded. There are different jobs in each. The music pre-production requires several different artists that write the music, while the radio pre-production requires a researcher that finds the information needed for the radio. Both of these media sources require sound technicians that take care of balancing the sound quality. Both have a presenter, both have audio engineers. They are the same because they both use words to entertain and present different ideas to their audience. Production of radio. A radio producer must make decisions about resources, finances, and technology. There are 5 different parts to a producer's job: technical, operational, editorial, administrative, and managerial. A radio producer is even responsible for a program's content, or script. Station manager. The station manager is head of the radio station, whether it is online radio or offline. This job entails organizing the content and daily programming, being in charge of the radio's DJs, audio engineers, and radio producers. Audio engineer jobs. If you have an affinity for sound production and audio engineering, you will do well as an audio engineer for a radio station. This job will require you to have some kind of sound engineering training. You will do work alongside a radio DJ to produce their radio show. Radio producer jobs. A radio producer is in charge of each radio show. The radio producer will decide on what each show should include in its programming. They give the DJ what music they should play and what important things should be mentioned, if any. A radio DJ also requires you to have a good and likable radio voice. You need to get voice training and have a natural, interesting voice that people relate to. A radio DJ will also need to know a lot about music and learn how to play and link songs and segments.
Production, music. Recording engineers, mix and mastering engineers, digital audio workstation operators, music programs, remixers, songwriters, producers, and business side duties such as executive producer, A&R, and the listening are just a few of the job titles available to the masses. There's the artist manager, the music promoters, music agents, recorder-producer. A recorder-producer works within the music industry, whose job is to oversee and manage the recording of an artist's music. A producer has many roles that may include, but are not limited to, gathering ideas for the project, selecting songs and/or musicians, coaching the artists and musicians in the studio, controlling the recording sessions, and supervising the entire process through mixing and mastering. Music producer, job description. Music producers oversee the development of songs. They ensure that musicians and investors' visions for a song are fulfilled in terms of vocals, sound effects, and instrumental agreements. Technical skills are necessary to operate soundboards, playback tracks, and utilize request site computer software to edit sound. How do these tasks differ and compare? Both have presenters. Both have some type of producer, whether it is a recorder producer or a radio producer. A radio production has a station manager that is in control of the DJ and the appropriate music that is allowed to be played. Post-production, radio. Post-production technicians are involved in many of the tasks that transpire after production has been shot or music recorded. Post-production is the manufactured stage that assembles all the pieces into a finished work of art, including editing, sound mixing, sound effects, and adding a musical score. Post-production technicians, who specialize in special effects, create solutions that are synchronized with sounds. They add echoes, delays, speed up or slow down tempos, and fine-tune voices. In so many words, post-production technicians manipulate sound to correspond with images to create certain effects. This process used is to insert sounds is called dubbing.
This is Liz Gardner. Would you please
The post-production mixing technician then takes each of these separate recordings. A jump cut type of cut is quite abrupt, often used deliberately for dramatic effect. Post-production technicians also use cuts effectively to imply information so that the film does not take place in real time. For example, throwing an airplane, taking off. Most production technicians also use different cutting rhythms and speeds. Production technicians must keep up to date with new technology and digital advances. In recording studios, radio stations, and some post-production studios, traditional analog recording is still used, but most recordings nowadays use delivery systems. Sound editor. A sound editor creates the soundtrack by cutting and synchronizing to the picture sound elements. SMPT, or Musical Instrument Digital Interface, MIDI, time codes for synchronization. Recording techniques are increasingly computerized and digitalized, which allows sound mixes to work at a faster and more effective pace.
Post-production music. Sound designer, aka supervising sound editor. The sound designer interprets the requirements of a production in terms of sound collection. Re-recording mixer. Re-recording mixers work with dialogue, music, and sound effects. They will generally work as part of a team to combine, balance, and adjust a film or television program's audio elements, including original production sound, re-recorded dialogue, effects and music into a soundtrack using work of the various sound editors and the sound designers. Sound editor. A sound editor creates the soundtrack by cutting and synchronizing to the picture sound elements. A dialogue editor. A dialogue editor assesses original production, soundtracks for the clearest recording of dialogue, and corrects imperfections such as clicks, pops, or lip smacks. Foley editor. The Foley editor assesses the amount of Foley requirement, prepares the picture for the Foley session. Foley artist. A Foley artist creates and performs replacement sound effects in sync to picture in a recording studio. Post-production supervisor, coordinator. The post-production supervisor, coordinator oversees all aspects of post-production to ensure the final version of the film or program meets production requirements, is suitable for on-air broadcast if applicable, and satisfies the correct time length requirements. While the production is being filmed or taped, the production supervisor takes detailed notes on everything from dialogue mistakes to missed music or sound effects. Other jobs, roles in this area may include sound engineer, senior drama editor, conform assistant, and post-production special effects supervisor. How do these tasks compare or differ? The radio has a post-production technician. There is a music editor. Both use advertising to get their product out.